Hey traders, today I'm going to be sharing with you the one thing that you can start to utilize in your trading that most traders don't recognize the power in this, and how you can start to utilize this in your trading right now to help you understand what's going on in the markets and what I call parameters in the markets. Let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty traders, so when I say at the start, obviously I said parameters. Parameters just simply means where are areas where the market could go to, where could be support, resistance levels, where are these major areas and what's really going on in these markets. And so this is obviously just not for today. I've been using this technique now for well over 10 years. And it's really helped me to get a bit of gauge on where we may bounce, where's support, where's resistance, and that the big long-term trends of these markets and these areas are where the market might find support. So so that's what I want to share with you today. Okay, guys, I'm giving away our full complete trading course. As you can see on the screen there, phase 1 is foundations, phase 2 chart reading stuff. There's actually 3 videos there. Phase 3 is trading systems and so on and so forth. You're gonna absolutely love it, guys. johnsfreegift.com. Go, or link in the description. I'm just giving it away for free. Go get free access to that. So I want to share this with you here. One of the big things that I really have learned is within my trading is mastering the art of multiple time frames. And this is something that even sometimes I forget, right? Because sometimes I'm looking, I might bring up the S&P 500. I'm like, ooh, S&P 500, ooh, right? It's like, and then I bring up my daily chart and then I squeeze right up and it's good to look at that, but small picture, big picture, small picture, big picture. And if we can look at the big picture and tie it in with the small picture, now we're talking. Let me explain what I mean here. So if we can see, we can see right now, this is a small picture coming down, right? This really tells us just what's happening for the last, maybe the last couple of weeks. We're going down, going down, going down. But one of the most important things is we're looking at the daily charts. If you trade the daily charts, always go to the higher time frame to get these long-term major parameters in the markets, right? So we can see here, if we have a look at the S&P 500 and we look at the last sort of maybe 12 months with the data, as you can see. We can see we're looking at the weekly charts. And this is something that's hugely and majorly important because you have the weekly charts gives you that big long-term trend, right? And the daily charts gives you the short-term momentum, the short-term movement. So if you're trading the daily charts, which I do a lot, then please go to the weekly charts to see the big picture. If you're trading, say, a 5-minute chart, maybe go to the 15-minute chart or the hourly chart to see the big picture. Makes sense? It's the art of tying multiple time frames in can really help you when looking at these areas. Makes sense? Actually, you probably that doesn't make sense to you, but what it means is that you have these big long-term trends, and then the weekly and the higher time frame just helps you see where the market's gone. So if I look at the S&P 500 right now, okay, I'm looking at the S&P 500 and I'm looking at it from the last sort of 12 months or so. Obviously, I can see there's probably some areas here that I can start to identify, right? So if I can see we have a low through here, right? We have a low through there. And I can see that we have this point. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just identifying this major low point through here. And all I'm doing is I'm connecting that low through there. And as you can see, as long as I keep connecting those lows, like so, let's actually bring this up just to that point there. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get the most touches out of this level. So if I have my trend line there, here's the really interesting thing, right? So remember, this is the big long-term weekly charts. So if I have my area, my support line, looking at the S&P 500 actually is right as I'm doing right now. And again, you can use this analysis. If you watch this video 5 years from now, it's still the same thing, right? We can see that. So we can see how we have support. We have this major weekly support. This is actually a pretty significant line. And so we can see every time we've come back down to this line, we've bounced. Are we about to get a bounce here right now? And this is where the daily charts, we have these bounces, but then the daily charts can help us with some timing, right? So we have these level of parameters, which is like, okay, here is major level of support on the weekly. But if we go to our daily and we squeeze up, we can see what? We can see that if we have a what? If we have a bounce here, look at this here. We can see that we know that this is a long-term weekly support level. So there could be a bounce here soon. There could be a bounce here soon, and so on and so forth. So keep an eye on this longer term, and sometimes it's a lot longer as well too, of what's going on there. And if we have a look at things like, say, even like the Nasdaq as an example, like Nasdaq is one of those charts that I just really, let me just, where's my removal thing? Anyway, I'll just do it manually. Delete, right? Delete, so on and so forth, right? So we're looking at, what are we looking at here? We're looking at the Nasdaq weekly, right? Again, you can use this for any stock. And what we can see a very nice, beautiful upward trend, right? Beautiful upward trend. And again, we're looking at the Nasdaq. Let's actually just blow this up so all we can see. And as you can see, guys, what have I got here? Just blank bars and a white background. You can use candlesticks if you want to. That's totally up to you. But the most important thing is not the candlesticks, right? The most important thing to me is like, okay, where is this major trend? Where is the trend? One, which is completely up, which is like higher highs and higher lows. But then secondly, like, where are these major parameters where the Nasdaq may find support or resistance on this upward movement? So if I draw some trend lines, I can see we've had these lows, right? So this is how I'll do it with my eye. I'm looking at it with my eye and I'm saying, okay, where are the major lows? I can see there's a major low there, there's a major low there, there's a major low there, there's a major low here. So I said, okay, I want to try and see if there's a line that I can connect these major lows up, and that's going to give me a parameter, or the parameters is like, okay, where is the market making these final major support levels, right? Because this is the longer term support levels, the longer term support and resistance levels that this particular market is operating in. And you can do, again, you can use this for stocks and so on and so forth, and it's amazing how well it works. So if I'm looking at this here now with the Nasdaq, again, looking at the weekly charts here, and I'm trying to get a good view of where things are, the thought that just came to my mind was this: if I'm looking at the daily charts, right, we get a lot of these highs and lows here, but the weekly charts here really remove a lot of the noises, right? Really removes a lot of the noises there. So I'm going to try and let me see if I can connect some of these lows here. So I'm going to start back here. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a trend line. I'm just going to draw one trend line. And then, you know what? I'm actually just going to leave it there. Right? I got it the first time. So why would I use that as the trend line? As this trend line here, right? So I've got this point back here. But you can see how we've got a bouncing here. Remember, there's a weekly bars. Bouncing here, bouncing here. We almost bounced down to here. And we got a bounce, bounce, bounce. So that, to me, if I'm using a trend line on the Nasdaq, I would say that would be the major trend line that I would use for the Nasdaq right now as I speak, right? Because we're in that's made. So therefore, if we did end up coming back down to here, we're probably likely to get a bounce, right? Because we're in this overall big bull market. And you can see that ever since we had a move up, pull back to the line, pull back to the line, pull back to the line, pull back to the line. So if we go out, we get a pullback, guess what? We're probably likely to do something like that, right? So this would be, okay, if we did pull back on the Nasdaq, where may we find some support? And if the market does come down to here, then guess what? Now let's go to the daily chart. So this is where like tying multiple time frames in can really help you. So the weekly charts is my go-to. Okay, we coming down here, we could be looking for a support. So this is where if the market does come down to here, we're looking for support. But we don't just jumping on the support level, right? We wait for the market to bounce a little bit and then give us a bit of a probability that the market's likely to bounce. So a scenario could be that if the market does eventually come back down to here, and let me just show this, right? If the market does eventually start to pull back down to this level here, and we're looking for a bounce to continue this upward movement, well, then we can start to look at different patterns, right? Different patterns that you may believe in. It may be something like this, right? Where you've got like a bit of a hammer. So the market may come down. It may come down to this level, bounce strong, and give you a hammer, you know? If you don't know what a hammer looks like, if you don't know what a hammer is, it actually looks like a hammer, right? The market opens here, it closes there, but it has a big long wick. It looks like a hammer. It's actually a reversal pattern. It actually happened here as well. But as you can see, the market came down and bounced. but there may be several patterns that you can look at that you say, okay, we're now likely to get a bounce. Now, and you can see here, look what happened here, right? We didn't get the hammer, but what did we get? We got a slight little low, maybe even a bit of a double bottom. And then when we broke, we came down, formed a bit of a what? Now, this is the daily chart, right, guys? We pulled back to that major level, and then we started the continuous upward movement. So if we end up giving a pullback down to here, guess what? We now could be getting a solid upward movement. So they're the levels that I'm looking out for. But I'm also seeing that there is, if I go back, let's actually go back to the weekly chart once again. So whenever drawing support resistance lines and trying to analyze the picture, try to see what's happening in the last sort of, say, 12 months or so, at least the 12 months on that weekly chart to see where the major levels, as you can see where I'm drawing right now. And I also can see there may be something happening here recently. So if I zoom right in now over the last sort of, probably for all of this year, I can see that there is a bit of a level through there that it actually had a bounce. So if I draw from this major low level now, there may be a new trend forming. Maybe, right? There may be. We'll have to wait and see. But I would have to use something like that, right? Because you can see here, we got a bit of a sideways movement, and that's where see how that's where it went sideways, and then it bounced, it went up. So this here would be a what? This here would be now another low point that was significant when the market went sideways, and then that was the last bouncing point, right? You can see that was the last bouncing point, last bouncing point, last bouncing point in the markets. So it's the bouncing points in the markets that I'm looking for, like those what I call significant levels. So as the Nasdaq is pulling back now as I speak, if I'm looking at this and I bring my charts up a bit more, I can see now it's not right now it's not like exactly, but if I bring up my trend line to here to there, I'm looking at the Nasdaq. I was like, okay, firstly, let's have a look at this here. Firstly, we're in a very big, nice higher highs and higher lows on the Nasdaq, right? We're definitely making higher highs and higher lows. Now, guys, I'm not developing a trading setup for you, right? But I'm telling you, this is just some things you can use within your trading that I use all the time to try to help me understand what's going on, right? Because the market can be confusing sometimes. Now, sometimes you're going to look at the chart and it's going to be volatile. There's not going to be any major support resistance levels. It's going to be all over the place. Just move on to the next chart. Just make it really simple, right? But look what's happening here. So if I'm looking at the Nasdaq now and I'm trying to remove my emotions about what I want out of it, I can see, okay, we've had two major support levels. We've had a low point. We've had a run up, and now we're getting a bit of a pullback. So we may be, and especially if I just look at this sort of last little support level, I can see there's a major sort of support level through there. Maybe this is X marks the spot on the Nasdaq right now. But you can see what I'm doing here, right? I'm looking at the major parameters on the higher time frame first. And then I'm looking at here. Now, when the Nasdaq, or if the Nasdaq does get down to these levels, let me actually just remove this level here for a minute. If the Nasdaq does get down to here, it doesn't mean it's going to bounce straight away, right? What do we want? We want to see at least the market bounce first. So what I mean by that is that the market comes down like this here, comes down to the support level, and bounces here, then that may be a good entry there. And again, it depends on your strategy, so on and so forth. That wouldn't be a trade for me, but it's just giving you a gauge. Okay, then this is where the market could bounce. If it does bounce, you get in there, you have a stop below the low, and then see a bit of a run up. And then you may get out here somewhere, right? Nice one-to-one sort of risk to reward. Away we go. So with the Nasdaq, if we come down, we may even get a bit of a bounce here coming into the market moving into next week. As you can see with these here. Let's go look at we can look at this with any stock out there, but let's just go look at let's go to the Dow Jones, right? Because the Dow Jones has been one that's looking quite weak right now. And so let's actually go look at this right now. So once again, what do? We bring up the good old weekly charts through here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it back to the good old time frame. And I'm going to try to find just the significant lows that have happened through here. And maybe I can start to identify some support resistance levels, major support resistance levels, major upward trends. So if the Dow Jones does pull back a little bit, where may it find support to continue this big bull market, right? Because we're in a big bull market. And if we have to get a pullback, where may it find support? So let's actually do this here. So I'm going to go with my eye. I'm going to say, okay, where are the major low levels? Like I say, I can see there's a major level there. There's a major level, definitely a major level there. There's definitely a few points through here as well too, right? So there's definitely all these few points. Okay, cool. So, but the major two ones here I can see is this one here and this one here. So I'm going to try and see if there's a bit of a trend line or something that I can draw through here that may be relevant. So let's actually do this here, right? So let's go to our drawing trend line tool, and I'm just going to connect the lows, and I'm going to draw it up like this here. See what I'm doing right now? I'm just drawing it up, right? So, and all I'm doing is I'm just connecting this one point here. It may or may not be relevant, but there's only one bounce here, so there's not really much going on there. But there may be something else that meets the eye. And what I mean by this is, right, so we have this level through here, but maybe this level is important for all, there may be something else, right? Because I can see there's definitely something else going on through here, right? So if I definitely draw like a trend line like through here maybe, or through here, I'm not really too quite sure with that, but maybe if I just, let's actually do this here. Maybe if I just create the exact same level, because that's the exact same angle, and I bring it up like so, well, guess what? Now I can see, oh, look what's happening now. We're getting what? We're getting a lot of different, around this area. Now there's a lot more bounces around this area, which makes this trend line more what? Valid. And so we can see that we definitely had a lot of sort of a whole bunch of area through here. We had a whole bunch of area through here. We had a whole bunch of support through here as well too, right? So this whole area is definitely a support level in the Dow Jones. So maybe, just maybe, right now the Dow Jones, this is not a market update, by the way, guys. This is me actually just teaching you guys some really important things to look out for when trading the markets. And so maybe, just maybe, where the Dow Jones is right now, we may get a bounce. So guess what? If we go back to our daily charts, and again, guys, you can utilize this for any market you want. Right? So if I look at this line, if I'm going to let me actually just connect these lows up through here, right? So I'm going to connect that lows up. So maybe, just maybe, the Dow Jones on this pullback through here is not going to pull back. Again, we need to wait and see, right? So if I zoom out my chart, you can see how this level through here has been a level where it's had a lot of confluence. Not exactly, but we see with this level through here. So if indeed the market does come back down to here and we do start to get a bit of a bounce coming out of this, well, guess what? Then we're probably likely to see what? We're probably likely to see a rally up. So if the market does, maybe even where it is right now, we may even come back down next week like that. And what if we start to do something like that and start to break out of this downward phase? What does that mean? Well, maybe now the Dow Jones has had its pullback, and maybe now the Dow Jones are going to start to see something like that as well too. Right? So that's where we need to wait for the bounce first, because it could easily just go like that, and then we just head on down to the next major level. Makes sense? So let me actually do this through here. So I'm going to see if there are some few other levels that I can see from here. So let me just draw this here from there to there. Right? So that trend line was definitely valid. All right? So you can see how that trend line there was also definitely valid in the markets as well too. So you can see, let me actually bring up my daily charts. So you can see there's actually a few trend lines here that the market was definitely valid through there. So there's a few different areas, right? And all I'm doing, guys, there's no perfect way to doing it. I'm just looking for the ones that just going to give us the most touches, the most bounces out of this level. Makes sense? There's actually a few different areas of this. There's obviously one area through here, and then we have this next area through here as well too. So let me take that off the screen. I'm just going to stick with this one through here, because this one definitely does see like there's a lot of confluence around this area. So it's not an exact area, but we may get a bit of a support happening where we are right now across the Dow Jones. So there we go, guys. There's a bit of an update this is something that I really sometimes I forget myself to use it, but it's very, very, very important to keep an eye on those big long-term weekly charts. For one, where is the trend? Because these pullbacks here, a lot of people think on the daily charts when we get these pullbacks, it's the end of the market. It's the end of the market. They think even right now it's the end of the market. It's not. We're in a big bull market. So we may get a bit of a pullback out of the Dow Jones. We may get a pullback down to here, right? But guess what? That could just be this here, a bit of a dip and away we go. It's probably going to be a dip and away we go again and go up to a new high, and probably likely to continue up because we are in a big bull market. Same for the Nasdaq as well too, guys. The Nasdaq's a really good example of that. And once again, if we go to our daily charts, we can see that these levels through here are indeed the levels of where we could expect to see a bounce. We never preempt, right? Because there's no guarantees. but we could say, okay, these are the levels here where we could see bounces. And when we do start to, if the market does come back, just say for example, the Nasdaq, right? The Nasdaq starts to do something like this. Comes down to here, and then suddenly out of nowhere, we have this sort of longer term level coming down through there, as you can see. And then suddenly the market does what? Then the market comes here and then suddenly bounces up like that. What does that mean? Low, higher low, underlying trend, and then we'll probably like to do something like that in the way we go again, right? So I hope this helps you out today, guys. Once again, make sure you grab that free trading course in the link description, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Hey traders, I'm giving away 100% free access to my brand new breakthrough full trading course. This is 8 videos over 10 hours of pure amazing and powerful strategies. This is my most powerful systems and strategies that I've used for the last 16 years, and I'm giving it away for free. So this is what I want you to do right now. I want you to go to johnsfreegift.com, or there should be a link around here somewhere, a button or in the description or somewhere in there. Click on that and you can go get free access to my brand new breakthrough trading course. So go to johnsfreegift.com right now. Go to that right now, guys. You can get full, complete, free membership access. Go do that right now.